2300 Arena in South Philadelphia. Boxing RDR Promotions got a big night of action, and you can't be on the scene. You can see it on the screen live on bxngtv.com. Rich Quinones, we handling all the play-by-play action. You may see me in the ring after doing interviews. Steve USS Cunningham, the former cruiserweight champ, heavyweight contender, will be joining Rich on the broadcast. It's a great show tonight with a lot of interesting storylines, Rich.
No, absolutely, Mark. And I look forward to having you, as always, doing the post-fight interviews. Great job, as always. And, of course, getting the analysis from USS. And look, we got the main event, right? Samuel Teah against Larry Friars. We got the prodigal son returning, Jesse Hart taking on that guy, Mike Guy. But for Samuel, right, here's an opportunity where he's coming off that devastating KO loss to Lee. Now he's got an opportunity against a fighter that's dropped 3 of 4. You know, that might be slipping a little bit, not a lot of ring time, so to speak. I think this is a potential for a get-right fight for Samuel.
Very well could be. Friars is also in a little bit of a tailspin, but he's performed against some top-level competition. Yep. He won't be intimidated walking in. He's from Dublin, Ireland, or Quinones, Ireland. So, he's seen it all, seen everything in there. So, should make for a very good fight in the ring.
You mentioned the step up in competition. His last 3 opponents combined record 34-1-1. So he will step up in competition. He will fight, guys that are of higher caliber. And then you look at Samuel. When you're a fighter and you get dealt a devastating knockout like that, I always look for the fighter to see how they make that comeback, that bounce back. Are they going to be aggressive early on? This is scheduled for 10 or less. Are they going to engage? Are they going to, in the back of their mind, think, all right, I might get caught? Now, I don't think you got to worry about that tonight. With Friars, he's only had 4 knockouts in his career. But say another opponent that's got 15, 16, 20 knockouts in his career, you just wonder if that's in the back of your mind. So I'm curious to see Samuel the first couple rounds in this one.
Absolutely. I don't want to call it our co-feature, maybe our 1A or our 1A fight, Jesse Hart. Like we talked about, me and him off camera. This close, 2 fights ago against Gilberto Ramirez, becoming super middleweight champion of the world. Bad night against Joe Smith, hurt hand, had the surgery. Coming back here to face the guy you're calling that guy, Mike Guy. Jesse Hart, this is a very intriguing fight for him. I think not only he needs to win, he needs to look good to show, you know what? I'm coming back down to 168, and there's a lot of things going on there. We have Canelo fighting Caleb Plant. There's David Benavidez. There's a lot of other guys in that maybe he wants to move back up and get a third shot at Zerto Ramirez. A lot of stuff in potential stuff in Jesse Hart's future, but he can't look past tonight. And like I said, yes, not only does he have to win, I think he's got to win and look good tonight.
I think he's got to go. It's cliche to say you don't want to go for that knockout early on, but I think he's got to put on a show. And look, he's got an opportunity to do it, right? He's 31-32. He's taking on an opponent who's 40. He's taking on an opponent that doesn't have a ton of power at all. He's taking on an opponent that's dropped 2 of 3, 4 of 7. He's going to have the fanfare, the family, his friends behind us. And again, I don't want to say crossroads, but we saw what happened the last time against Smith. Bloody, battered, bruised. You mentioned the hand issues. You also mentioned, I believe he suffered a cut, accidental headbutt in that one as well. But when you're so close to getting there and then it's kind of taken away, I think that fuels the fire a little bit. But I'm in agreement with you on this one. I think he's got to come out and just make quick work and then try to get him back in position with 168.
Mike Guy, he's a guy, though, who fought John Ryder.
Yep.
John Ryder is a guy who gave Callum Smith. A lot of people think he beat Callum Smith, who before he fought Canelo, a lot of people thought Callum Smith was the best 168 pounder in the world. So Mike Guy is a guy. He's very durable.
Yeah, and he's a tough guy. You're not going to get him out of there. So you're going to have to probably get some rounds in. But that's exactly probably what Jesse wants, right?
Absolutely.
It's slated for 8, but would it shock me if he stopped this guy in the 5th or 6th? No, it wouldn't. But I think if Hart goes looking for the knockout, though, it's just tough, man, because when you get beat up like that, right, it's always how you come back the next fight. And someone might look on this on paper and say, you know what, Mark and Rich, this is basically a get-right fight or a tune-up fight. What have we learned from doing these fights?
Absolutely.
You can't underestimate your opponent.
Now, if that ain't enough, we just mentioned 2 guys who in their last fight were fighting on major networks, Showtime for Samuel Teah and ESPN for Jesse Hart.
Yeah.
Now we have a slew of some interesting prospects, guys that we've seen here at the 2300 Arena and thereabouts. So bxngtv.com. We'll go over these fights real quick. We got Jabril Noble, 1-0-1 knockout. Noble, very impressive his pro debut last time out.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's got slick hands. I like him. You know, he's a poised fighter. Obviously, you mentioned Boria, who's 0-2. It's 4 rounds. I believe this is super featherweight. So this is, you know, these 4 rounders, if you blink a little bit, you're going to miss some action and some knockouts. But I like Noble in this one. I also like, believe it or not, you know, that kid, Isaiah Johnson.
Yeah, he's another kid who had a pretty explosive knockout in his pro debut as well.
Yeah, and he takes on Leonidas Folks. So I'm thinking of Gladiator with that. All right, 2-3 with a couple of knockout losses, 4 rounds again at 135. And then, you know, we're always going to get some of these lopsided records in here for some of these fighters. But we also, correct me if I'm wrong, have a young fighter making his pro debut.
Pro debut, we got guy fight Brandon. We have 2 pro debuts.
Yep, Brandon Callahan.
Brandon Callahan, 1-0-1 knockout from what I understand, right around the corner here in South Philly.
There you go.
So
okay.
he's going to have a big thing. He's going to take on Davon Hall, Wilmington, Delaware, pro debut. You mentioned Isaiah Johnson against Leonidas Folks. Romeo Cruz.
Yes.
He's a very interesting story. Guy's been fought on Fox. So we have 3 guys who have been featured on Prime Network television. Cruz fought at least twice on Fox, 5-on-1, 2 knockouts, trained by Stephen Breadman Edwards, a guy who we know.
Sure.
You know, we had trained Julian Williams to the world title. He's got Kyron Davis, who put up a great effort against Andre Durrell. So, you know, Stephen Breadman ain't working with fighters who are just there to show up.
No, not at all. And I like this matchup because he's taken over Roberto Pachetto, who we caught a couple of fights. This is a 31-fight veteran.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a young fighter, age-wise, not young, but a young fighter in Cruz with only 6 fights under his belt, 5-0-1. So this is a great step up for him to kind of make a really nice showing and to show the rest of the boxing world, boxing TV, and the Philly fans, okay, you know what? Get these guys in here. I'm ready to start going through these guys.
And then we'll lead it off. Even though on paper this doesn't look good, but this is a fight that could steal the show. If anyone saw yesterday's weigh-in, Gerard Minor and Joshua Aarons, they almost fought each other then and there. I mean, they got up in each other's face, calling each other all kinds of names, which I won't repeat here. I mean, but listen, the names are so bad, we're not even governed by the FCC. They would probably still take us off the air.
Well, I don't know if Minor used a derogatory term for every loss he's compiled over the last couple of months and years. 11 straight, but
he's a guy who hangs in there.
He does hang in there. And remember, this is a 4-round fight, so you steal a round or 2, you put a little pressure on your opponent.
And I mean, this is how crazy this boxing game is. I went down to call Fight Florida back in November. Gerard Minor was on the card. And, you know, with the exception of a knockdown, which was a debatable knockdown, he thought was a low blow, he may have gone in there and upset the guy. And he's had several fights like that. So he very well kept 3-4 wins under his belt, taking on a guy who wanted to kick his ass straight away.
Right, and taking on a fighter who, in essence, Williamsport, PA, fighting someone in his backyard as well. That's what makes, at times, these 4-rounders interesting, right? Because if you find a way to just steal a round or 2, then it gets a little chaotic when it comes to the scoring in the
Why
judging.
is every time I see Williamsport, PA, I want to ask the kid if he played Little League Baseball?
There's nothing wrong with that. You never know. Maybe one of them or a handful of them did.
So any final thoughts on this card, just to put it all in the thing and start around?
I think so. You know, I'm really interested to see what Samuel does bounce back, because I always look at that character of a fighter. You get knocked down, you get back up. But for me, I define Hart tonight as a crossroads. Like, he's got to basically take care of business. And look, we know boxing. The naysayers will say, you were expected to do that, but look what happened when you fought Smith. Don't take anything away from Jesse Hart.
Would you go as far to say is the 2 Philly guys in the main fights, do they fight for their careers tonight?
Yeah, I don't have
their careers of relevance?
Yeah, absolutely. Look what happened, right? Look what happened when, again, this step up, right, with Hart against Smith, and then look at Samuel against Lee with a devastating, just a devastating knockout. That's got to be in the back of your mind, right? So we always talk about Philly tough, being that Philly tough fighter. Let's see if they put on a show tonight, get out of there unscathed, and pick up some wins.
BXNG TV, it's the best streaming buy out there. I know we're going to have a big audience tonight. I talked to Larry Friars. He said the Irish contingent will be tuning in. So
well, we say hello to Ireland.
So when you're on the air tonight,
I will. He's a Yonkers. He resides in my backyard in Yonkers, New York.
And when I called him the other day, he actually was coming in from Vegas, so he was training in Vegas.
All right, so there you go. Hey, we have to give love to the Yonkers and New York people when we're in Philadelphia. And that's just how it has to be, right? It just has to be with that. So we'll see if the Irish contingent can carry him.
Why is it that people see us when we're doing stuff? They would still want to come up and say hello to us.
You're famous. I don't know. You're world renowned. They want to give you that love. I don't know what it is. The man with many hats. I don't know.
Well, like I said before, Rich will be on the call with USS Steve Cunningham, the former cruiserweight champ, heavyweight contender. I'll be doing the post-fight interviews. Hope to see you either down here at the 2300 Arena. A few tickets still remain. Yeah. I see people are at the box office now. So if you're planning on getting here, my throat. We don't have that cough button here. I see people right from me at the box office, so few tickets still remain, so get down here quick. If you can't be here, bxngtv.com, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll hear Rich all night with Cunningham, myself. Thank you very much, and hope to either have you see you in person, stay high, or even say hi to Rich while he's broadcasting. Have a good night.